Not that long ago, Gen Z's association of politics went no further than having to listen to their grumpy uncle groan about the Democrats at Thanksgiving dinner. But something happened, because now politics are seen as enough of a reason to end friendships, split up families, and even justify violence. Politics have become about so much more than just social and economic policy. Each party now has its own culture, its own cohort of beliefs, and its own collective identity. The real psyop is that they've managed to divide America in half so that nationwide reform becomes impossible. This can be easily seen by how everything has become political. If you bring up an issue, it will be instantaneously labeled as either a right-wing or left-wing talking point. The topic could be about anything and people will find a way to politicize it. If either side wants to dismiss your argument, they'll label it as either woke or alt-right. Cancel culture never ended, it just disguised itself as political activism. Each party has developed its own collective perspective. Even politicizing something as nonpartisan is working out. This has led to the normalization of political profiling. If you're gay, vegan, or own a cat, you must be a liberal. If you lift weights or on a carnivore diet or you're a man, then you must be conservative. You just took away one form of prejudice and replaced it with another. Bigotry is literally defined as prejudice against a person on the basis of their membership within a particular group. So cutting off family members and refusing to listen to someone who has different political opinions as you just proves that all the bigotry you gripe about from the other side is alive and well all the same within you. But I want to put our differences aside and look at the similarities we all have. Like the fact that we're all working jobs we don't love so that we can pay half of our income to have a roof over our head, searching for meaning in a culture that offers none. The petty political arguments are fake, but the struggle is real. We have a lot more in common than we realize. When you look beyond the trivial drama, you'll find that a lot of young people are angry, frustrated, and disheartened with their life. And I think that maybe that frustration is being directed at all the wrong places. You drive through an apartment complex and see half the windows have MAGA signs and the other half have pride flags. You're having a sign battle, but you're both struggling to pay your bills. You are not the enemy of one another. It doesn't matter who you voted for. Neither of them are going to help your situation because our political system is full of crooks. Has it ever occurred to you that maybe you could be pointing the finger at the wrong people? Maybe they want us fighting each other so that we don't recognize we're all getting equally economically fucked. As wages stagnate and the cost of assets skyrocket, the middle class is gradually being squeezed out. The youth is being priced out of what was once basic standards of living. Our quality of life will slowly degrade and politicians will still keep yapping about petty political arguments that the majority of Americans don't even care about. It's all a distraction, a ruse, a big show to keep you entertained. It doesn't matter if you're right wing or left wing. Both wings are from the same bird that's shitting on all of us. They're giving you something easy and digestible to be mad about as a means to divide the population. I already know what half of the comment section is gonna say. This is just left-wing talking points. You're just a brokey who wants to tax the rich. Listen, I'm so distrustful of my government that even if we did properly tax the rich, I have zero confidence that our government would actually use those funds to better America. You're telling me that the US government, who already has boatloads of money, could get paid more money and you think they're actually going to invest it in us? Call me a pessimist, but I don't fucking believe it. I'm not convinced either side gives a solitary fuck. I was reading an article the other day by Yes Magazine, and I want to share what one of the commenters said. We're coming into not being able to afford rent, not being able to buy homes, not being able to find jobs, competing for resources, and facing environmental problems. It doesn't matter if the leadership is Republican or Democrat. We've been facing the same issues time and time again. Nothing's really changing. It just feels like my vote doesn't matter. The candidates don't care about us. I would say that pretty much summarizes the political dread of Gen Z. Young people are starting to wake up to how shady and flat out negligent our government is. Mark Zuckerberg himself openly admitted that he was being told by the government to silence certain perspectives during the pandemic. USAID, that disguised itself as an aid company, is being exposed as a means to use our tax dollars to pay for transgender surgeries in other countries. Things that used to be conspiracy theories are now coming out as basic known facts. The youth does not have any trust in the government whatsoever. I have a prediction. That's probably completely wrong, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I think politics will gradually start to become less divisive. As our economic situation worsens, people will no longer feel an appreciation for any candidate or either political party. They will just be angry at the entire system. Angry about our government sitting idly as private companies monopolize America's housing market, for allowing the cost of basic education to become astronomically unaffordable, for failing to step in when the mainstream media is blatantly biased. Sooner or later, people are going to recognize that neither political parties have our best interest in mind. Gen Z already has a tendency towards distrust and nihilism. We saw this with the rejection of religion, and I think we're going to see it again with the rejection of politics. We don't care who wins. We want to be able to go to college and not have student loan debt for the rest of our life. We want to be able to buy a house, find a busty Latina, and make some babies. Not that anyone cares about my gay-ass dream, but I wanted to be able to attend a fine arts atelier and learn from trained professors how to make art like the greats. But, I majored in STEM instead because my gay-ass drawings don't pay the bills. Now I'm stuck drawing bird shit. I'm sure there are many of you watching this that have similar aspirations. You're interested in a particular hobby or skill set, but you can't invest in it because it doesn't make any money. And you start to wonder what the point of life is if you're just endlessly working and never having the time to invest yourself in the things that actually matter to you. I know this seems like a massive side tangent, but I promise it's all closely related. Divisive politics distracting you from your economic fate, your inability to invest in your passions due to economics, the lack of inspiring art in modern society, the normalization of slop and overconsumption. All of these things are closely related. Gen Z turned to politics to fill a void that was not being filled by actual values, ambition, creativity, and community. The days of pursuing your goals, using your individual talents to contribute to a society, and having a sense of purpose are all slipping through our fingertips. These political ideologies have given us a false sense of something to latch onto. It gives you the illusion that you have something to fight for. And that's the real reason I wanted to make this video. Because turning to politics for meaning is like opening a rusty tin can of expired beans when you're hungry. It will make you physically ill long before you are ever satiated. There's nothing wrong with having a strong political position. The point of this video isn't to vilify politics, it's to vilify distraction. I've noticed that people have a tendency to invest themselves most in things that they have little to no control over. People really care about politics more than they do about their own health. They'll spend 4 hours scrolling through political content but won't spend 30 minutes in the gym. It's important to at the very least be aware of the political and economic situation that you're in, and to develop your own personal beliefs about how to navigate that landscape. But dwelling on it any further than that doesn't lead to anything productive. Gen Z is the least religious generation in American history, with almost 50% claiming they have no religious affiliation. But I'd make the argument that where previous generations had religion, Gen Z has politics, which might be even worse. With religion, at least we were one nation under God, which meant that regardless of our personal beliefs, we stood together as a unified country. But without it, we are no longer unified under that faith. Instead, we're enemies, where each side holds the belief that the other party will cause nationwide catastrophe. When you put the phone down and have conversations in real life, you'll find a lot more normalcy and moderate opinions than the internet will lead you to believe exist. The more conversations you have, the more you'll realize that politics aren't everything. You can get along great with someone based on their actual attributes and shared hobbies, regardless of their political position. I have a feeling that at some point, things will eventually get bad enough where people will stop caring about each other's political ideologies. We will come to a point where there is such a great collective dread that everyone is in agreement that something needs to change. Hopefully by then, it's not too late.